I'm just going to show how to build a really cheap duck blind that's very durable and functional. And tell you what, everything that I've got here, I'm going to have less than $100 into this duck blind. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just setting up on a point here. I want a permanent blind. The ducks use this point a lot, and they use this pond a lot here just to kind of day loaf. And so basically what I'm starting out with is just a bunch of pallets, which you can go to, a lot of different businesses and get these wooden pallets for free. I had a little bit of OSB board chunks laying in the shop that I just grabbed just to put on top for a floor. So I laid 3 pallets down in a row. That'll be kind of my floor, just to keep chairs and stuff out of the mud. And then I'll show you here how to build this blind here really cheap and easy. But basically what you're looking at is you're looking at about 8 5-foot T-posts. You're looking at some snow fence. You're looking at some wood screws, some cable ties. And then this bamboo thatch here, they sell it for tiki bars. I mean, you can buy it online for really cheap, just buy it by the roll. And so this is a 30-foot roll here, but it's just a cheap, easy way to build a really rugged, durable, functional duck blind that'll last for years. So I'm just gonna put the front post up here, and for this blind, I'm using a dozen pallets, and I'm using 8 posts. And so I just pound the post in pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is just slide these pallets over the fence post. Now it's going to firm it up. So now that we've got our pallets firmed up, what we're going to do now is put the snow fencing on. Leave a little left over for the ends here. I'm just going to go along and staple it along at first. So this is 3-foot snow fencing, which is the same height as the pallet. So what I'm going to do once I have it tacked on the top is I'm just going to come through with some really small wood screws and washers and really cinch it down good. All right, we've got our frame up, we've got our snow fence stapled and screwed onto the frame. Now it's time to add the thatch. And this is just kind of a base cover, or a base layer. A lot of times I like to add more to it just to make it blend in. See, right now everything's all green. This fall everything's gonna be brown, and so it'll match a lot better with this. But this is just a good base layer to start with. You can always add stuff on top of it. What I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna zip tie it onto the snow fence. So I'm just gonna take zip ties. And you can get different widths of this. The width of this, I'm gonna need 2 layers. And so I'm just gonna zip tie the top layer on first. So now that we got the top layer on, we're going to put the bottom layer overlapping it. And you're not building a church. It doesn't have to be perfectly even. It just has to be functional. You see here, I've left this end open just to get in, obviously. And what I do when I'm inside the blind and hunting is I just take a piece of wire, just wire that mesh shut, so that way I can box that in. And a lot of times I'll just put a board over just so it doesn't flop in the wind and deteriorate. If you want to get hidden in these blinds even better, you can see with these pallets here, you just take bushy weeds and just shove them in there and just kind of lean them over, almost to create like a roof, where that way the birds can't see in so much. But you can really conceal really well with these blinds, especially in these sloughs here where they're used to seeing a little bit of cover on the edge of the slough. And you see here we've got this big point out in front of us. You see all the feathers and the tracks where they've been using this point already, but they like to loaf right here. And so this blind's just in a perfect spot if you have the right wind. It wasn't that much work. We were able to put this blind up, and probably took us maybe an hour and a half or so at the most. And obviously you see here it's in the middle of summertime. We're just anticipating, getting ready for the season. We're anticipating that a bunch of birds are going to be using this later on. We've got a bunch of corn right over here. And so there's gonna be birds in here in the fall, and so you can break up the outline even more, but you got to remember in the fall everything's gonna be brown, similar to these cattails, but that's just the base layer. And so you can add cover over the top of that to blend it in even more. And you can also break up that box outline by just leaning tumbleweeds and kochia weeds and sweet clover, any type of tall bushy weed, just lean it around and kind of break up that box square outline. And we've got all kinds of that growing around here that we'll be able to use to blend this blind in even better. But just a cheap, easy blind that, goodness, it doesn't cost a lot of money. Just a few things at the hardware store. Get the tiki material or the bamboo material, and you basically pick up a bunch of pallets that most people just give away. You can make yourself a great blind.